Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. Well, you can already see the headline for this video, and that is that my Amazon FBA business has generated in excess of £11,000 in sales in the past 15 days. However, that's not the full story, and that's what I want to go over in this video with you guys. The first thing I want to do is take you to Seller Central and show you these recent sales. The next thing I want to do is talk about the recovery of my business in general. So those of you that have followed my recent videos, you'll know my Amazon FBA business was hit really hard by lockdown, and from mid-March until the end of April, it pretty much ground to a halt. However, when we got to the start of May, I kind of said, look, enough's enough, and got super aggressive with my Amazon FBA strategy. And that's what I want to go over. I want to look at the recovery and show you how I recovered from pretty much zero sales at the start of May to what you're seeing now as we move into the middle of June. The next thing I want to do is take a look at the profits. There's no point in making all of these sales unless I'm actually making any money. And then finally, I want to discuss my future Amazon FBA plans, what sort of products I'm going to be looking at going forward, and what I'm going to do with my existing products. So hopefully you guys will stick around for all of those different sections. So the first thing I want to do is take you over to Seller Central to take a look at these recent sales. So here we are on the Amazon Seller Central dashboard. Things at the moment are a bit of a mess because Amazon have recently introduced these boxes at the top, and that's had a big impact on layout. So we've got big gaps everywhere, but this is not what you guys are here for. You just want to kind of see the sales. So you can have a look in one of two different places. Firstly, at the top here, this is a new feature Amazon have recently introduced. You can click on this little arrow and you can see over the last 15 days, it's generated £11,461 of sales. The other place you can see it as well is if you scroll down, and this is the box that I usually look at, and it's a sales summary box here. You can see that over the last 15 days, it's over £11,000 and averaging over £5,000 per 7 days at the moment. And already today, it's not even quite 2 p.m. and I've already sold over £300 of goods. So things are going pretty well at the moment. I'm very happy with how my Amazon FBA business has been going over the past 2 weeks. Now, how does that look on the graphs? Now, those of you that have seen my recent videos would have seen versions of this graph and how it's evolved over time. Well, as you can see at the end here, thankfully, things are pretty much back to normal. And if I've been honest, probably a little bit above where I was at the start of the year. And for those of you that haven't seen this graph yet, pretty much how it works is this is the start of your January and February, going really well. As we move into March and lockdown kicks in, things just grind to a halt. Then from mid-March until the start of May, my business was pretty much dead. It was generating very, very little money. Then at the start of May was the start of my recovery, which I'm going to kind of come back to in a moment. And things have been picking up ever since. And if we scroll down on the stats, we should be able to see, as we move down to the bottom, we've got some really, really good daily sales. One thing you will notice is that my buy box percentage isn't 100% all the time. Now, we used to see that occasionally anyway, so if I scroll up, you'll see there's some bits there where it's like 99 and 98%, but more recently, sometimes when you increase the price of your product, Amazon will mess about with the buy box. So always be careful when you're adjusting the prices, because you don't want to lose the buy box to yourself, which is possible. Even if you're the only seller, sometimes you can lose the buy box. So only a couple of days ago, I only had the buy box 68% of the time. It didn't really impact sales, thankfully. As you can see, I had 38 units that day. But just something to be aware of. If you are playing about with your price and you lose the buy box, change the price back and you should regain that buy box. Now, one thing I did mention in my previous videos is that as a result of the drop of sales, my IPI, which is your inventory performance index, really dropped as well. Now, this is a big problem for Amazon FBA sellers, because if your IPI number drops too low, it reduces the amount of stock you're allowed to have at the Amazon fulfillment centers. So at the moment, my level is 391, so it's actually recovered very slightly. As you can see here, it's recovered very slightly in the last week or so, but it's not going to be enough to get over that 400 threshold, which is what you need to have unlimited space at the fulfillment centers. However, hopefully things are going in the right direction. Now, if you didn't see my previous videos on this threshold used to be 350, so being at 391 would not have been an issue. But Amazon about 3 or 4 weeks ago changed the threshold from 350 to 400 with no notice, and basically said, you're on your own, lads, good luck. So there, we've all been a bit stitched up by what's happened, especially those that are sort of hovering around this mark. So all of a sudden I have to be very, very careful about my sell-through rate, because that is the main thing that is reducing my IPI. But like I say, it is heading up in the right direction. Now, for those of you that are wondering a bit more about your IPI and have maybe been hit by the same thing, if you want to see what your new storage limitations will be based on your current number, if you click expand storage at the bottom, it will show you here. So currently I get unlimited, but my next period will be 532 square feet. So I've got 157 cubic feet in stock at the moment, and I think once my new inventory arrives, I'll probably be fairly close to that. So I have to be really, really careful I don't go over that, or I will be hit with big storage fee charges. So keep that in mind. Always keep an eye on your IPO, because they are super aggressive about it now. And like I say, they did adjust the threshold, and it wouldn't surprise me if they adjusted it again with no notice. So that's how things are going. The sales have picked up. IPI is recovering, but not quite enough at the moment. So from looking at those sales graphs, you can clearly see that my sales picked up from the start of May and have been increasing right up till the middle of June. So what did I actually do to recover my business? Now, those of you that have been following me probably already know that I dropped my prices to break even and was actually selling at a very small loss for a time as well. So that's the first thing I did, was reduce my prices to break even. That gave me a really, really good selling point, as I was a very well established listing, but I was selling a lot less than all of my competitors. So that got immediate traction. The next thing I did was to slowly increase the price as the sales pick up. So by slowly, I mean £1 every day or two. When I tried to increase it by more than that or more frequently, it really hit my organic ranks and the sales slowed down too much. So keep that in mind if you're launching a product or relaunching a product. As you creep up that price, don't do it too quickly, because it will really hit your organic ranks. The next thing I did was run really aggressive PPC. So I had dual campaigns going for all of my products. So I was targeting product PPC and keyword PPC. So what that means with my keyword PPC, I was targeting the keywords that people were searching in the Amazon search engine. And then with my product PPC, I was targeting competitor products. So by doing that, I was targeting products that I was cheaper than and had better listings in, and I got really, really good sales. And my ACOS throughout this period was probably around the 10 to 15% mark. When I started increasing my price again, obviously my ACOS went up, because obviously my selling point wasn't as strong. But certainly for this relaunch period, my ACOS was very low as a result of having a low price point. And this is a graph from one of my products, and you can see how things worked. This red line is my BSR, and you can see from March onwards the BSR shot up as we entered lockdown. And then at the start of May, I dropped my price. So this blue line is my price. So I dropped substantially. I think I dropped about probably £8 or £9. I dropped the price, and the sales immediately picked up. It wasn't quite where I wanted to be, and there was one competitor at the same price, so I went slightly lower, and then sales really picked up. And you can see there my BSR getting lower and lower as my sales increased. And then once I'd been at sustained sales for about a week or so, I started to increase my price slowly. And you can see here my BSR stayed steady. Now this one here, I went up more than £1 at a time. You can see this peak in my BSR as sales kind of really started to slow down. So I reduced the price again, and ever since I've been stepping it up in a much more slow fashion, just £1 at a time. But you can see here all the times the BSR is staying really nice and low. So that's how I recover my business, with low pricing, slowly increase it, and a super, super aggressive PPC running alongside all of that. But the big question is, did I actually make any money during this time? Well, when I started creating this video, I was going to do the calculations based on the last 15 days, as those £11,000 of sales were when my products were selling at their higher price points. So the profit margins would have been very, very flattering. However, that wouldn't have been very useful, and it wouldn't have been fair to you guys to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go all the way back till the 1st of May and show you my average profits over the last 6 weeks. So the profit margins per unit are going to be much, much lower than they usually be, but it's only fair to you guys to show you exactly what happened to my business. So product one, over the last 6 weeks I've sold 709 units, which is a really, really good rate for that product. In the good times when I was selling at full price, I generally sold around 400 to 500 units per month, so I'm pretty much back there with the amount of units sold, and that generated around £15,000 in sales. Now the average selling price was around £21, so at some points I was selling lower, and currently I'm selling above that. So the average selling price was £21 across those products, and the average profit per unit was only £2.30. Now at the moment I'm selling that product around a £7 profit per unit, but when you take into account I was selling at a break even or a small loss for a period, that is why the average profit per unit at the moment is only £2.30. So that product alone generated around £1,600 in profit, but there are some other deductions which I'm going to get to in a minute. Product two, which doesn't generally sell as many and was actually out of stock for a couple of weeks, that only sold 216 units during this period. It's actually selling really well at the moment though, so that's great to see. So that generated around £5,000 in sales with an average selling price of just below £24. So the average profit per unit for that was actually quite healthy at £6.56 with an overall profit of just over £1,400. So between them, it's just over £3,000 of total profit. However, during that period, like I said, I was quite aggressive with PPC, so I spent around £1,260 on PPC, and there was around £200 in storage fees. So overall, the profit was around £1,500. Now that doesn't sound much, but however, if you put it into context, this was at a time when my business was recovering from probably a one-off event, nothing like the world has ever seen. So during a 6-week period when I'm trying to rebuild my business and actually been super aggressive with PPC, I've still been able to make money. So when people ask me, is Amazon FBA dead? Well, if you can make money in this situation, it certainly isn't dead, and you guys can make your own decisions. But I'm very happy that I've actually recovered the business. The fact I've actually made a little bit of money on top of that, that's just a bonus. But going forward now, I'm selling at really healthy profit margins and hope to continue that for the rest of the year. So with all of that in mind, what do I have planned for my Amazon FBA business? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is continue increasing the price of my products in £1 increments where possible. Now my products at the moment are pretty much back to the selling price that I was selling at before lockdown. However, we still don't know what the new normal is going to be. We don't know at the moment whether there's less competition or maybe there's currently more buyers. Maybe there's been a build-up of buyers that haven't been buying certain products, so maybe I'll be able to sell above my original price for a while. So I'm certainly going to experiment with that to see if I can find a new price point for my products that hopefully may be higher than what I was selling at before lockdown began. The next thing I need to try to do is to spread out the remaining inventory of product 1 until July the 6th. Now why July the 6th? Well, that is when the delivery date is to the Amazon fulfillment center. Now I've only got about 100 to 150 of these products left in stock, and usually they would sell through in about a week, and I've somehow got to spread these out for about 20 days. So I'll probably reduce the PPC. Actually, I think the PPC is already off that product, so the only thing I can do is increase the price further to try to slow sales. Now I know there's mixed opinions about increasing your price to slow sales, but I've done it in the past successfully, and I'm quite happy to do it again because I know I can always rebuild this listing when the new inventory arrives. Now I've been trying really hard to avoid this situation as my inventory management has been improving, and the 1,000 units were devanned this week. Now devanned means those 1,000 units were unpacked from the shipping container this week. Now when that happens, there's normally a 1 to 2 week wait from the devan date to when it actually get delivered to the Amazon fulfillment center. However, the fulfillment center that this shipment is going to, which is Coventry, which is also called BHX, they don't have a delivery slot until July the 6th. So pretty much a 20-day wait to get this inventory delivered, which is super frustrating when you're trying to manage stock, and also when you've got the IPI issues that I've got as well, because if my product goes out of stock, that's going to hit my IPI. And it's also going to hit my sell-through rate as well, so I'm going to have to try to slow sales to try to avoid going out of stock for too long. The next thing I need to decide is which of these products I'm actually going to reorder. So both of those products are getting to the point now where I need to reorder for delivery in say 10 to 12 weeks. So there's a lot of money I need to recommit now if I'm going to have these in stock in say come September time. So I've got to make that decision because I'm still not 100% certain whether to continue with the C-ship products despite how well they're selling at the moment, or whether to just save all of that money and just focus on future products. I think I may continue one of them and maybe not the other, but that's a decision I've got to make in the next couple of days. The next thing I need to do is find the new products I want to sell. If you go back to my video from a few weeks ago, I mentioned that I wanted to focus on small and light products going forward. Not official Amazon FBA small and light products, that's a different thing, but just small and light products that I can fly in rather than ship in. So then I've got money tied up in inventory for a lot less time, and it will make my business much more dynamic. So going forward, those are the types of products I want to find. And also, I finally want to start doing some designs for my print-on-demand business, which I'm starting. I know a number of you guys already follow me. If you want to see my print-on-demand journey, make sure you subscribe to my other YouTube channel at honestmoney.co.uk. So I hope you guys have found this video useful, seeing what my sales have been, seeing my recovery and how I actually recovered my business and what the profits were like on those as well. If you did, I'd really appreciate it. Scroll down, hit that like button, and of course make sure you subscribe to the channel for more honest and open Amazon FBA videos. If you're not already signed up at FBAelite.com, make sure you head over there. It's completely free. We've got over 1,100 members all discussing Amazon FBA, and I'll see you guys on the forums.